matter what, we come together for the good of our constituents, and I'm proud and honored to lead the People's House of the New York State Legislature.
The health and protection of the human beings that live in our districts is our responsibility.
Frederick Douglass's words for us today, I quote, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress."
If you want equity to happen, then this is where it happens.
All of us have a responsibility to the greater good.
The House will come to order.
Hello everyone, I'm Assemblyman Angelo Santa Barbara and welcome to this edition of Assembly Update. Very excited to talk to my guests today that are here from New York Folklore, a statewide organization for folk and traditional arts. Joining me are Ellen McHale, who is the Executive Director. Welcome, Ellen.
Thank you.
And Ann Rappaport, who is staff folklorist. Ann, welcome to the show. And I'm very excited to have you both on the show. You just did an event recently in my district in Amsterdam that we talked about, and I guess it was well attended, and some people were very excited to talk about it. So I'm anxious to share the work that you're doing, not just in my district, but statewide. But let's just start with what the organization is, some of the work you've been doing, and some of the things coming up.
Yeah. We're a statewide organization, as you said. We are, our mission is to support traditional arts and culture wherever it's found in New York State. So we work with people's heritage, people's cultural information that comes through their community, whether it could be an occupational community, it could be an ethnic group or a regional affiliation, it could be gender. So folklore is pretty expansively defined, and our key is that it's a art form or a way of knowing that's passed down from one person to another. So it doesn't have to be a long historical length, but it often is. And we work across the state.
And as you said, it's statewide, but each event's a little bit different, right? Each event has a little bit, kind of a uniqueness to it. Just as an example, let's talk about what just happened in Amsterdam. Let's talk about the event there that I think was well received, and I think people really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the most recent event in Amsterdam was a traditional hair braiding workshop with an Amsterdam resident named Devon Fox, who is a traditional hair braider. She learned from her mom, who learned from her mom, who learned from her mom, and between sisters and aunts, it's a skill that's really passed between family members in informal situations. And this particular workshop was funded by the New York State Council on the Arts from an individual artist grant that Devon received through New York Folklore. And at the workshop, residents were able to come and ask questions about natural hair care because it's not really something that there's a huge service for. In Amsterdam, there's no hair salons that cater to natural hair, so there's a real need for Devon to have the ability to share her knowledge. And the workshop was attended by a few people who were really interested in being able to work with their hair, knowing that there were things that they were missing that were really going to help them. So they were able to have a nice conversation about the things they can do to care for their hair, for their children's, and for other people in their life.
That's great. That's a wonderful event. As I said, people really enjoyed it. What are some of the other categories? Hair care is one. Obviously the most recent. But what are some of the other events? What are some of the things that they surround are based on?
Yeah. Well, actually, just today, after this, we'll be going to a food demonstration. This particular one is going to focus on Jamaican cuisine, and the food demonstrations are something that we've been doing for about the past year and a half. We work with communities, with their community cooks, the people who are really, when you say, who makes the best this or that, and people will tell you who it is. And those are the folks that we talk with. And at these demonstrations, they will not only show you how they make the food, but give you kind of those, I want to say, tips and tricks that you're not going to get from any recipe. You get it from speaking with the people, from cooking with them, and that's, of course, how those foodways and those traditions are transmitted when you're in the kitchen and when you spend time observing observing.
And I've
those
experienced
people.
that with my own household with my mother. None of the recipes are written down.
Right.
Exactly.
You sort of have the conversation, and you know, they just know how to make the dish.
That's right.
But to pass it on, you have to spend some time doing it, right? And then you know the recipe as well. That's great. That sounds like a great event. I may have to follow you there after the show.
You're welcome too.
So, Ellen, we talked about some of the most impactful work is the grants, and I know we have some pictures to share.
Sure.
And tell us about the grants and how important they are, and some of the things they're facilitating, what they're enabling our communities to do.
The New York State Council of the Arts just a few years ago opened up their individual artist category to folk and traditional arts. So that's a grant that we find particularly exciting for the folks that we work with, because it's a grant that is for an individual artist to do any project that they would like to conceive. And we've been very successfully able to help them with those grants. And the other piece of the granting that we like to do is an apprenticeship program that is also a New York State Council on the Arts program, so that a master artist is paired with somebody who is not a ranked beginner, somebody who has skills but would like to raise their skills to another level. So it's a learning opportunity for a traditional artist to teach somebody else their skills, because those skills are often done over a long period of time, and there's usually not classroom instruction that happens. It's usually a one-on-one situation. So we've been able to successfully assist several artists, and they tend to be, because we're in the Capital District, they tend to be Capital District related. For example, in Schenectady, Zorky Nelson is an incredible long history and family history of Ghanaian drumming. He has proposed a Pan-African Youth Orchestra for the city of Schenectady. So he was able to get that grant. He's been working with young people in the Central Park all summer, and he'll be working within the school district in the fall, and he is developing this Pan-African orchestra that will be probably the only Pan-African youth orchestra in the country. So it's a pretty exciting project for us and for him. He was a member of the first Pan-African orchestra in Ghana, so he is bringing that expertise here. So that's one of the individual artist grants that we've worked with that we're excited about and that we're supporting heavily. We also, we're working with Veena and Devish Chandra, who are really fine North Indian musicians, and they'll be also in the school district.
Now, this is a partnership with the Schenectady School District.
Yes,
yeah. I was reading about that.
Okay.
Yeah, tell us some more about that.
So they also received individual artist grants and also apprenticeship grants, but they have proposed a project through the National Endowment for the Arts to be introducing North Indian classical musical traditions into every school of the Schenectady School District. So they'll be in each of the, I think, 17 schools throughout the entire school year. And that's funded by the National Endowment for the Arts, and we're also working within the school district's situation. So those are a couple of the individual artists and their sort of expansive vision of what they'd like to do. I don't know if there's anybody else that comes to mind, Anne, from the 25 that we wrote.
I mean, everybody comes to mind. Is what genre do you want to hear about? Really, the amount of artists that we work with is so expansive. Whatever your interest is, we could find someone.
And for people watching, so I'm sure there is interest, and you hear about these conversations all the time, and certainly at the events for people to get involved or make a connection. Let's give us some contact information. Is there a website or an email we can?
nyfolklore.org on the web, and then we are based on J Street in downtown Schenectady, right across from the Whistling Kettle.
Yep, we know right where we are.
It's funny because we've been there almost 25 years, but the Whistling Kettle seems to be the place we can align ourselves to. But we have a gallery there. We have a small consignment gift shop, and it's kind of the headquarters for this statewide organization. We have 7 staff people, so they're not all in Schenectady, but I think 4 of us are in Schenectady.
Yeah, so for people visiting J Street, and I think they just had an event there not too long ago, earlier today, people can stop by and visit. And I encourage people to contact. So it's info@nyfolklore, and you have a phone number as well that I can give out.
Yes.
That's 518-346-7008. And I know you have a number of upcoming events that we want to get
We
to.
do.
One of them, yeah, actually, let's start with Gifted Hands. Is that Gifted Hands?
Gifted Hands, Magical Hands was the title of the hair care workshop. And there is kind of a part 3 that is in the works now. It'll likely be in partnership with the Clubhouse, Creative Connections Clubhouse.
And I did want to
in
mention that.
Amsterdam.
Yes, give them a
Yeah.
shout out. They do amazing work.
They
The
do.
Creative Connections Clubhouse. We want to give a shout out to John Sumter and the team out there. But tell us more about that connection.
So that's kind of a full circle moment. Devon often previously volunteered her time doing programming at the Clubhouse. A lot of the time it was braiding hair, but we've also sponsored a few programs there. New York Folklore has sponsored programs there, doing a food demonstration, but also a soul food dinner, where Devon taught a little bit about her cooking traditions. And then we also sponsored a few hair braiding programs with them as well. So we're hoping to close it out with something with them again as well.
And I think we have some photos. Did we share the photos? I think we have some photos of the event. I don't know if they came up already. But of that particular event, and then you also have a photo of some of the grant recipients.
Yes.
Yeah,
as well.
this is Latifa Ali Muhammad. She is Afghan embroiderer and dressmaker, and that is an exhibit that just came down. She also received one of those NISCA artist grants to do programming and to teach embroidery, both within the Afghan community but also outside of it. So she's one of our artists that we work with closely. And this was also part of the exhibition.
Beautiful.
Another Afghan artist, Ismail Arbab, is a rug maker in Afghanistan, but now he's mostly making jewelry. There's not a lot of call for rug making in this country, unfortunately. So that's incredibly intensive art form that requires a lot of skill and also high levels of finances.
It does, and at one point, Amsterdam was known for that.
That's right. That's right.
And you're right. There's been less and less of production, but it's great to see local artists still engaged in producing those beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell me about Hatitude. Is that right?
Hatitude.
Hatitude.
Which already opened, right?
It just opened.
But it's going to run for a while.
Soft opening.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's the hats of a woman named Louise Hughes Rawling. She was a resident of Elmira. When she passed away, her daughter, Vicey Rawling, opened up a storage compartment, and it was filled with hats, at least 250 hats. Her mother was a hat maker in the African American community in the 40s through the 80s, so the time when women wore hats. And so we have 40 of those 250 hats on exhibit at New York Folklore, from the 40s up until probably the early 1980s.
It's a journey back in time, right?
It
Just to
is.
visit. And
It
people can
is.
stop in and see this?
They can stop in and see it. We will be having some programming. Vicey is going to be coming at some point at the end of September to talk about her mother's hat making, but we also have a workshop on making your own fascinator or a cocktail hat, so that'll be a hands-on workshop with a hat maker from Freehold, New York. And we're also, it's not confirmed yet, but we'll be hopefully having a workshop with a hip-hop clothing designer from Schenectady that will be more youth-focused. We might be design your own sneaker or something like that.
Well, I'm excited to visit, check out those hats. If you're watching, stop in and visit them on J Street, or visit, give a call and find out about some of the upcoming events. I'll be posting them on my website. We've been talking with Ann and Ellen from New York Folklore. Join us again here on Assembly Update, where we'll talk more about great things happening in your community, just like what we talked about today with New York Folklore. Take care, and we'll see you next time.